Hello student, welcome to MGC Learning. Today we are going to study chapter 4.1 of English, the history of novels. So let's begin. First of all, we will try to understand the meaning of novel. Novel is a book that tells a story about people and events that are not real. Novel is called Upanyas in Hindi. Before we proceed with this topic, I will try to define difference between short story and novel and drama, because many of time we are getting confused and understanding that these three are same as they are having story in it. See, the obvious difference between a novel and short story is that short stories are short and novels are long. Short stories can be 1000 to 20,000 words. More average is 3000 to 5000 words. A novel can be anywhere from 60,000 to over 1,20,000. A short story has one main character and the story is told through that character point of view only. A novel has a cast of characters and story can be told from any of those characters' viewpoint. So these are some of the difference I told you about the short stories and the novel. Now see the difference between drama and novel. Drama written to be performed in theatre and novel written to be read. Drama has a script, are almost written in the present tense. A novel and short stories are written in the past tense. So this is the difference between the drama and the novel and short story. Hope you understood the definition of the novel and the difference between the novel, drama and the short story. Now this chapter has points like definition and rise of novels, types and elements of novel, and all the points are deeply elaborated in your chapter. So in this video I am going to cover definition and the rise of novel. In the next video I will explain about types and elements of novel. Now, so first of all we'll see the definition of novel. The novel word derived from the Latin word novella, which means new, news or short story of something new. So novel derived from the Latin word novella, and this word is derived from the word novelette. So we have the strict definition of modern novel: a lengthy fictional narrative written in prose presenting a realistic picture of believable characters and events. Now we'll see more definition of novel for the better understanding of it. The novel is a worldwide cultural instrument which helped redefine the time and space where we live, the way we speak and talk, how we feel, what we do. So children, we can say that novel is nothing but a mirror of society, the mirror of the society. Why? Because in many of the novel, in the story, you can see the author is depicting the reality and the things what is happening in the society. Okay, so that's why we can say that the novel is a mirror of the society. Now we'll see the rise of the novel. Previously we saw the definition of the novel. Now we'll go to the next point, the rise of the novel. See, when and where. So first half of the 18th century in England, the author started writing novel in the first half of the 18th century in England, and that was the era of the Elizabethan Queen. Okay, so Queen Elizabeth was on the throne, and the literature which was written during the reign of the during the reign of the Queen Elizabeth, that known as the Elizabethan literature. So there is some example of the literature of Elizabethan period, that is Sir Philip Sidney's Arcadia, Ephra Behns' Oronooko or the Royal State, the Royal Slave, the John Bunyan's Pilgrim's Progress, that is published in 1678. So see, these three examples I have given you, that is the novel, fictional novel, the long narrative fictional novel that are written during the Elizabethan literature time, meaning that was the time of the Queen Elizabeth, which she was on the throne, and during that time these novels were written. Now, why authors started writing novels? Okay, previously they were not writing novels, they were writing the poems, okay, meaning Chaucer's Canterbury Tale, which is known as the first poem of the world. Okay, so previously the authors were writing mostly poems, dramas, but novels were not getting written. But now authors started writing novels. Okay, so there is a reason behind that. So what are those reasons? So first, the rise of novel coincides with the rise of the middle classes in the Western Europe. So as the middle classes were rising in the Western Europe, simultaneously the novels also started getting written by the authors, as the middle class were very fond of reading novels. The profound social and economic changes brought the novels into the popular provinces. Now, what were those social and economic changes? Because of that, the authors started writing novels. First, advance in the technology of the printing that made written text available to a growing population of readers. Second was the changes in the mode of distribution in the literacy rate that brought the books and pamphlet to the population excluded from the educational working class, men and women of all classes. And third was the authors became free agents in the literary marketplace that depended on popular sales for success and sustenance, and reflecting the value of middle class readership. Okay, so these are the three important points that you need to remember. Because of that, the emergence of middle class, and second one, the advance in the technology of printing, changes in the mode of distribution and literary rate, authors became free agent in the literary marketplace. So these are the 3 points. Because of that, the authors started writing novels. Now here some of the pictures are given of the authors who started writing novels during that time, and their novels is also given over there, meaning pictures is given here, like Daniel Defoe's Robinson Crusoe, and then there is the Christmas Sandy's novel is also there. So Pamela's novel is also there. So you can see the picture on your screen. Now next, we'll see some more examples of the novel that are written during the 18th century, and those were known as the lengthy fictional narrative, meaning novel is also known as the lengthy fictional narratives that is written in the prose. See some of the examples I have given you. For example, Decameron of the Giovanni Boccaccio, Le Morte de Authors Thomas Malory, and Don Quixote of the Miguel de Cervantes of Spain. Okay, so dear children, see, this Don Quixote of the Spanish writer Miguel de Cervantes has written Don Quixote, that was published in 2 parts in 1605 and 1615. And this is known as the first European novel. That is a very important point you need to remember. Now Don Quixote's novel, Don Quixote, this is the name of the novel, okay, and the author is Miguel de Cervantes, and this is the first novel of the Europe. Okay, if you will talk about the world first novel, the Murasaki's Shikibas, the Tale of the Genji, this is the first novel of the world. Okay, so you need to remember these, some of the name what is given over here. Now Pamela or Virtue Rewarded, the Samuel Richardson's, this is also very famous novel by him, and these all novels are fictional only, not realistic but fictional. Now some of the examples also I have added what are given in your textbook, that is Clarissa Richardson's, and then Henry Fielding's of Joseph Andrews, Tom Jones and Tobias Smollett, Roderick Random's, Humphrey Clinker, Lawrence Stern's Christmas Sunday, John Austen's Jane Sense and Sensibility. See, this is very important novel, Jane Austen's Sense and Sensibility, which got very much famous during that time. Pride and Prejudice, which is also very famous, and today also readers are reading Sense and Sensibility, Pride and Prejudice, because very good story is given over there. Now, the rise of novel, some of the important point I have noted down over here. At first, novel took form root in the England in France. So you have to remember two names, England and France, where the first novel took form a root, and from 17th century, but they flowered in the 18th century only. First only gentlemanly classes used to read a novel, but now lower middle class formed good readership with the novels, and that lead to the rise in the novels. Now, as the readership grew, the market for the books expanded and the earning of the authors also increased. The first author were dependent on patronage of the aristocrats for finance, but as the readership grew, they were from the dependence and helped them to experiment with other literary styles. Okay, Henry Fielding, a novelist of the early 18th century, claimed he was the founder of new province of writing where he could make his own laws, meaning he was, they were known as the out of meaning they were writing according to their thinking, according to their law. Okay, so among them Henry Fielding was there. Now, world of the novel. Now we'll see the novel in context of the world. So the other form of writing which came before novel were about ordinary people, but they don't focus on the lives of the great people or action that change the destinies of states and empire. The deeply critical of these development novelists such as Charles Dickens wrote about the terrible effect of the industrialization on people's life and the character. Okay, so in the world, as the novels was getting famous everywhere and the people were very fond of reading novels, so before it was fictional, but later on as it was developing a lot, so due to that the novelist was started writing and depicting the reality of the society. And during that time the industrialization was there, emergence of the middle class was there, so whatever problem people were facing, the terrible effect which was seen in the society, all were getting depicted in the novel. Now here picture is given Charles Dickens, who was very profound writer and the author. Okay, hard time he has written. The picture is given the hard time where the cruelty of the upper class and the problem faced by the lower class. All these things are depicted in this what is called novel. Now, but not all the novels about the lives of the poor gave readers and the comfort of happy ending. Okay, so that's why the Emile Zola's journal on the life of the young miner in the France explores in the harsh detail the grim condition of the miner's life, and it ends on a note of despair. The strike the hero leads fail and his co-workers turns against him and hopes are shattered. So all the authors where they were writing about, they were depicting the poor people's lives and all. So there were other authors also like Emile Zola who written the journals where they were depicting the life of young people also, meaning they tried to depict the other side of the society also. See here a picture of Emile Zola is given, and it was painted by the Edward Manet. Now we'll see the novel in context of the community and society. So the vast majority of the reader of the novel lived in the city, and the novel created in them a feeling of connection with the fate of the rural communities. And the 19th century British novelist Thomas Hardy, for instance, wrote about the traditional rural community of England that was fast vanishing. So rural communities were fast vanishing as the people were migrating from the rural area to the city area. And all these things, authors were, plotting all these things in the novels, as the people should get aware about that, the pro and cons of the each and every things. This was actually a time when large farmer fenced off land and brought machines and employed laborer to produce for the market. Okay. Now, novel in context of the new woman. So not only male but also female writer also started writing novel. Okay, so emergence of the woman writer in the novel brought a great change in the great change in the society, in the field of the novels, in the field of the literature. The most exciting element of the novel was the involvement of the woman. The 18th century saw the middle classes become more prosperous. The women got more leisure to read as well as write novels, and novels began exploring the world of the women, their emotion, identity, their experiences and the problems all were depicting in the novels. Okay, so when the people were reading novels, they can realize, they were understanding, the people were getting aware, the women were getting aware, okay, that what is their right, what the problems they are facing off. Okay, so that was the great change that was taking place in the society due to the women were started writing novel. See, there is a given George Eliot and Charlotte Bronte, two great women writer who were writing the novels. Now novels for the young. So in context of young people will see. Okay, so novel for the young boys idealized a new type of man. Okay, the someone who has powerful, assertive, independent and daring. So most of these novels were full of adventure set in places remote from Europe. The colonizers appear heroic and honorable, confronting the native people and strange surrounding and adapting to the native life as well as changing it, colonizing territories and then developing nation there. So for the young people also, so authors were writing a novel, and some of the novels were the Jungle Book, the five main character of the famous five by the G.A. Henry. So see, some of the books picture is given on your screen. Okay, the Jungle Book by the Rudyard Kipling, which is very famous. Movie is also made in the Hollywood on Jungle Book. Okay, so these are the novels what are written during that time for the young people who were very fond of adventure and all, and they were not many of the young were not interested in reading the problems of people. Okay, so for them these are the novels what was written. Now we'll see novels in India. Before we saw the novels in context of the world, society, Europeans novels and all. Now we'll see the novels in India, which is given in your textbook. Okay, your next point. The story in prose were not new to India. Okay, the Bana Bhatta's Kadambari, written in Sanskrit in the 7th century, and is an early example. Okay, and the Panch Tantra is another, and there was also a long tradition of prose tales of adventure, heroism in Persian, Urdu, known as Dastan. So Dastan was written, that Dastan was nothing but in form of novels only the Indians were writing. The modern novel form developed in India in the 19th century as Indians became familiar with the Western novel. So as the Indians became familiar with the Western novel, so many Indian writers started writing the novels in India in 19th century, that is in the English. Okay, so there is many Bankim Chand Chatterjee, Rabindranath Tagore. Okay, so many authors were there who were Indian but writing in the in English. Now novel in Hindi. So Bhartendu Harishchandra encouraged many members of his circle of poet and writer to recreate and translate novel from other language. So translation of literature also very important, where you can say where you can see the many of the novels from the other language is getting translated into the Hindi as well as regional languages. So many novels were actually translated, adapted from the English, Bengali under his influence. But the first proper modern novel was written by the Srinivas Das of Delhi. Srinivas Das novels published in 1882 and was titled Pariksha Guru, the master examiner. Now, what is the pleasure of reading novels? So, as elsewhere in the world, in India too, the novel became the popular medium of entertainment among the middle class. The circulation of printed book allowed people to amuse themselves in the new ways. The picture book, translation from other languages, popular songs, sometimes composed on contemporary events, and stories in the newspaper, magazines, all these offered new forms of entertainment. So many of the people are very fond of reading novels because it's always give you the new thinking, new idea and new outlook to see the world. Okay. So this is in this video I covered definition as well as rise of the novel. Hope you understood. In the next video I will cover the element as well as the types of the novel. Thank you so much.